Hi, welcome to this preview video for Fighting Fantasy Adventures. This is a brand new game from Martin Wallace Designs. It's a game that is hitting crowdfunding soon. It's a game of choose your own adventure style. It's a game that I really enjoyed playing the introductory adventure, and I'm so looking forward to try the remaining ones. Series 1 is going to come with several adventures in the box, and already including an introductory adventure for everybody to try the game and see how the game plays. I'm going to try to tilt so that I can show you the session that I had just before. I recorded the full playthrough solo, handling all 4 heroes. It's very easy to play solo, and it was a fantastic and amazing experience. Extremely thematic, very fun, very interesting. A lot of luck, but a lot of also interesting choices, a lot of decisions, a lot of fighting, a lot of things to discover, fighting monsters, going through challenges, making the right choices, making the right tactical decisions, all in an effort to try to find some clues to my adventure and fulfill it. I'm not going to say more because I'm going to not reveal anything about the introductory adventure in this video. I'm going to show you in a separate solo playthrough, the full playthrough, so you can find out for yourself what this game is all about, and if it, I would say what this sandbox game is all about, what this better gaming system, because I think it's going to make a smash hit in the industry, and for a good reason. It has a fantastic designer behind it, but also it is an exceptionally well crafted idea. Thematic, interesting, fun, a ton of replayability. I'm typically a bit skeptic about choose your own adventure games because they tend to not have a lot of replayability. You have a gorgeous amount of fun, a lot of interesting decisions, very memorable choices and situations, but they tend to be one time off most of the times, or at least feel like one time off. At least the ones I tried myself. This one, I'm sure it's going to be different. I'm thinking myself, even for the introductory adventure, if I'm going to try it after a couple of weeks, there is no way I'm going to remember where is what. Maybe I have some vague idea of some general direction, but it doesn't prevent you from playing again the adventure. Now, into this one, if you throw the normal adventures, because this is just for players to learn the game, okay? If you throw the normal adventures that are included in Series 1, and if you play them between sessions, I'm sure you can play them again and again. At least myself, I see it as a fairly easy way to try it again and again, cycling through different adventures and feeling again, playing the whole story again. So it's not one time off, at least not for me. I think for most of the people out there. Now, amazing experience, because yes, it has luck because it has die rolls and it has modifiers like many other games in this category, but that doesn't really alter the experience or affect it in any way. I had a huge amount of fun. I was exploring, I was eager to find out what was hidden beneath tombs, beneath secrets, to take decisions to drink or not drink a potion and face the consequences, and who hero does that. But this game really shines on beyond the theme and the story and the setting, which is really nice, of course, and it's one of the strong suits of the game. It really shines on the mechanics of the game, because essentially it's a deck of cards that you explore, and each hero has their special abilities, and the time that you use them is really important, because then you only use it once and then they go. It's once for the whole adventure. You're going to get the set of skills later on. You can, let's say, level up and have a level 2 and level 3, etc. skills. You have a healer, you have a warrior, you have a rogue, and you have also a mage. And they all have the different, I would say, strong and weak points. For example, you can typically go into exploring with a scout, not a rogue, with a scout, because they can avoid traps. But if you have them always entering the room, then they will take more beating. Also, whoever, on each turn, you decide who enters the room, and this may alter a lot of things in the game. Also, when you fight monsters, which is a big portion of the game, after each combat round, because you have rounds in the combat, you can also retreat. You can rearrange who fights what monster and who is supporting or teaming up, let's say, ganging up against the monsters. So there are a lot of choices there in terms of tactics, in terms of decisions. There's a bit of luck. For me, it's fine, because what is on the other side of the balance is a lot of enjoyment, a lot of fun, a lot of theme, a lot of memorable stories, a lot of things to remember. This plays all in my mind now from just the the introductory adventure. Sorry, I'm really excited to wait the game to be released so that I can really go through all the adventures, and hopefully this will be a success. I'm sure it's going to be a success. So more series will be released. Extremely fun, extremely good for one player if you play solo. It plays easily between 1 and 4, whatever number really doesn't matter. It's equally good in all numbers because you're handling your heroes, you're taking decisions as a party, it's a co-op game, so everybody wins or loses together. But what is, I think, the last thing I want to leave you with as a first impressions before we go into explaining the video is that it's a smash hit. I think it's a fantastic gaming experience, one of a kind. So join me at the table. I'll show you how the game plays, I'll explain everything about the game, all the rules, and I'm going to add a link in the description of the video so you can find the crowdfunding campaign link when the game launches so you can follow up. And join me at the end of this video for a final wrap-up and some more impressions and opinions and ideas about the game that I'm going to reveal a bit more about my personal experience from the session I had just now. So let's see how the game plays. Welcome to the lands of Alencia, a dangerous place teeming with monsters, necromancers and dungeons, of course. Your band of brave adventurers are not daunted by such things and seek treasure and renown in equal measure. Will you become the greatest heroes of Alencia or die unnoticed in some hellpit? The fighting fantasy adventures are based on the books of the same name by Ian Livingstone and Steve Jackson. The game here presents their content in a new way in a form of a board game with a choose-your-own-adventure style and cards and story, of course. The game is designed for 1 to 4 players, and in the game you will take control of one or more heroes, and of course you will take part in a series of adventures, leveling up your hero along the way. On the way you will encounter monsters, various traps and other challenges, of course. But do not fear though, you are brave of heart and each of you have a special ability to help you on your way. Starting the adventure, first find the 4 hero cards that look like this. We have the warrior in red, the healer in green, the scout in orange and the mage in purple. You decide among yourselves who will control each hero, and if there are only 2 or 3 of players, then somebody will have to control more than one hero. The key thing is to remember that all 4 heroes must be used, no matter how many actual players there are. Each hero has a set of leveling 1 ability cards. Here you can see, for example, the warrior. They have the might blow, improved reactions and shield as 3 level 1 cards. Of course they have additional cards of level 2 and level 3. The healer, for example, has more level 1 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, compared to the rest of the players. Make sure that you have the ability cards matching your hero card, and you can easily see them and set them aside by color, because the set of ability cards is matching the same of your hero's portrait in the border around the card, green for the whole set, both the portrait and the ability cards. The same goes for the rest of the heroes. Besides your hero and your level ability cards, you also take your counter card depicting your hero on the tactical board. So the healer, again, we go with their matching color around their border of the token, the mage, the warrior, and the scout. Place the tactical board in the center of your play area, but away from the center of the area where you're going to play cards. Keep in mind that you're going to be opening various dungeon cards that they will unfold and create a dungeon for your adventure. Therefore, you need to set the board the tactical board to the side. You will use this to show what order your party is traveling in and what creatures you're fighting. The center of the table should of course be kept clear to allow for the placement of the dungeon cards I mentioned before. There are also some tokens and of course some dice, but for the moment just place them to the one side. You're not going to use them at the beginning. We're going to explain later on how they come into play. There are two decks of cards, and these are the two main decks of cards. We have the dungeon cards, which shows the dungeon, the different things that you need to face in your adventure. And you also have the encounter cards. This is for the introductory adventure. And you see these are the encounters with all the story and the encounters that you need to face. There is a cover card for each of those decks. Keep them on top so that you hide the cards, because both of those decks are numbered and you will be not in need to shuffle them, but you need them numbered so that you can pick them easily when you're looking for a specific number of cards. I should also mention that you start with, as I said, your healer as a portrait if you're playing one hero, or you take all four heroes if you're playing solo, single-handed, and then you only keep the level 1 cards. So in this case I would keep all the cards of level 1. Don't worry that the healer has more cards than the rest of the players, and I would remove the rest of the cards. You will gain them in the course later on once you level up, but for the moment just put them aside. You don't start with them, you only start with your level 1 cards. The same goes for all heroes and their ability cards. I should also mention that this is Series 1, that means that you will find in the core box, this is a prototype as you can understand, the Warlock of the Firetop Mountain, the Island of the Lizard King, the Death Trap Dungeon, and the Forest of Doom, parts 1 and 2. So a quick summary again on the game components. We have the hero cards, which are 4 in total, and they're always in every play. Each hero has different skill, stamina, and luck points. You decide which is most important to you when choosing your character if you're playing a multiplayer game. You have ability cards, a total of 28 between all 4 heroes. The color border indicates which abilities belong to each hero. We have the hero pieces, again 4, they're going to be used to indicate which hero is facing which monsters on the tactical board, and the turn order of course as well, which changes from turn to turn. We also have 6-sided dice, 4 in total. There is a party position marker. The whole party will be in most of the cases, unless otherwise specified, in one location, as it will be denoted by the position marker. There are various counters. We have skill, double-sided markers, from one side showing -1 or -3. We have luck, again showing -1 and -3. We have stamina, double-sided, -1 and -3. And we also have time, food, double-sided markers depicting either food from one side or time from the other. Last but not least, we have the gold, which are these tokens over here, and we have 6 monsters labeled A, B, C, D, E, and F. They will be placed on the one side, and the heroes will be placed on the other side, respectively. Now, adventure-specific decks of cards 5. This should not be shuffled. The dungeon cards and the encounter cards, and these are all the components. If you're not playing solo, one of the players will need to take care of the 2 decks of cards, dungeon cards and the encounter cards. It is encouraged that it's the person who enjoys reading and speaking out aloud the most, so that he or she will be reading from these cards as well to the rest of the party. The top of each deck is there to hide the cards beneath them, so leave it as it is. Find card 1 from dungeon card deck without looking at the rest. Again, these are numbered and they should have the red circle on top, and place it in the center of the table. Place the party marker on top of it. This is where the party begins from, and it will branch out from there based on your decisions and the exploration path that you're going to take, and the different situation. Just for you to see, this is a party. It's going to go here. It has at the moment 3 doors. On the right we smell something musty. On the left there is a clicking sound, and on the top, on the north, there is a sulfur smell. The gray circle indicates the numbered dungeon card that is going to be placed from this side if you explore from there, the number 21 from that side if you go on the left, and the number 23 if you go on the top. And all of the cards are dual-sided. The number, if you flip it, it's going to be gray once the monster is defeated or the challenge is bypassed. So, next thing that we do is we take card number 1 from the encounter deck. I remind you, I already took out dungeon card number 1 from the dungeon deck, and I read it out loud to the whole party. Your quest is to retrieve the Orb of Lucis. This is kept in a chest that can only be opened by the correct positioning of 3 special coins. You need to find the coins and the chest. Beware, there are nasty creatures and traps out there. So this is the encounter card. Again, we set it aside, so we remind ourselves the current encounter card, because this is going to we're going to go through the deck essentially, and now we're ready to start playing the adventure. You now need to make 2 decisions. First, which direction you will go, and what order you will move. You move in a single file. You show the order of your party by placing the colored hero counters on the tactical display like that. So this means that the scout is going to go first, entering first the room, no matter which direction we take, the warrior second, the mage third, and the healer fourth. And you can see that because it says first, second, third, and fourth in the first row of the bottom section of the tactical board, where our heroes are entering from this side, crossing the door across to the other side. You can change the order of the characters before moving to the next room, and you can do it every single time you move to the next room, but not after you enter the room, as who goes first may have an impact on what happens to you. You then find the dungeon card that matches the number in the gray circle and place it next to the card, creating a floor plan. You also find the encounter card with the same number and read out loud what is written on it. So let's say I decide to go from this side where it's a clicking sound. I will need to find dungeon card 16 and place it on this side. And I will also find dungeon card 16 from that side and read it out loud. Encounter card 16 respectively, and read it out loud. Some rooms will present you with a challenge of some kind. Others will contain strange creatures like, for example, an enemy, a monster. Here you go, just showing the card also shown in the rulebook. Okay, this is a master that you'll probably need to find when you reach this room. So very often you will have to find these monsters, and the number in the shield icon shows their skill in the same way that you have the skill on the heroes, and the number in the second icon, the heart icon, indicates their stamina, the amount of life points they can take, the amount of damage they can take. This is their stamina before falling over. So during the adventure, you will be picking up different things, fighting different monsters, and they will almost always be in the form of a card. You can pass items between you as you wish, but not during a fight, and you cannot pass your own ability cards from one hero to the other, so you need to keep your own ability cards, of course. When you resolve a dungeon card, for example, let's assume that we had to fight this monster and that we defeated it, then when you resolve the dungeon card, then you simply flip it on the other side. As you progress through the adventure, you will be placing dungeon cards on different areas, so you will be creating a maze of cards that actually it's going to be the dungeon floor plan as you move across your adventure. The full layout of the dungeon will become more and more as you explore more, and then you'll have a better understanding of what is the situation and where are you trying to go. Again, for the anatomy of the card, an active challenge, let's say we just went into this room and we open it, we know it is active because it's a card number 2 and it's in a red circle. Once we have resolved the encounter, whether it's bypassing a trap or a mechanism or some kind of event or something. Then once we finish with the card, then we flip it over and the gray icon reveals itself, and this is the empty room now. There's also some blood stain here, most probably because we managed to slay the monster. So that being said, of course I will never be putting this card here because this card points to 16 and this card points to 5, okay? So this is not the correct card. Let's say, just for the sake of showing something accurate, but I'm going to have it empty so that you don't know what it's beneath there. This will be pointing to number 23 and this will be pointing to number 1, as you can see. So I have opened some of the cards so that I show you a possible situation where I have explored some of the dungeon. Don't worry, there's no spoiler there because you don't know the story, so you don't know what is, first of all, from the bottom, from the flip side of the card, but also you don't know what's written on the encounter card. I'm going to create something different with this, but I will mention it at the end of this video. So let's move now into explaining how fighting is done in the game. Fighting. If you enter a room that has one or more monsters in it, then you will need to fight them to be able to pass through the room. Whoever went into the room first will be able to attack first. They must attack, actually, it's mandatory. And then they must be the first one to attack whatever monsters they find there, if they find monsters. The first round of battle occurs in the order heroes enter the room, but you may reorder for a second round if you wish. Okay, so let's say that we entered a room and we found 3 monsters, and we have declared that they're going to enter first the warrior, then the mage, then the healer, and last the scout. Okay, this is how they're going to fight. The first player is the one who needs to take the first fight. Okay, but we would be able to change the order of fighting if we wish to do so in further turns, as we wish. The key rule is that each monster has to have at least 1 hero attacking it. If there are 4 monsters, then all 4 must pair off against them. All 4 heroes must pair off against a monster. If there were only 2 monsters, then you can decide who will attack each one, allowing some heroes possibly to stay out of the fight or team up as well against a specific enemy. You can also gang up. This is how it's called in terms of terminology in the game, where if more than one opponent is teaming up against the monster, then it's called gang up, and you can have 2, 3, or even all 4 of heroes attacking the same monster. If there are multiple monsters, then they will have a letter next to them, A, B, C, so that you can identify who hero is attacking what monster. You show who is fighting which monster by using the letter monster counters on the tactical board. In this example, let's say we have this specific scenario as it shows here. The warrior attacks the big ogre, while the healer and scout each attack one of the goblins. The mage backs up the warrior, attacking the big ogre. One of the heroes could have chosen to stay out of the fight, as there are more heroes and monsters in this case. A fight consists of 1 or more rounds. In each round, a hero will attempt to hit the monster they're fighting. After each round of fighting, you can adjust party order as you wish or retreat from the room. Adjusting party order means rearranging which heroes are fighting, which monsters, and the order which they're fighting, and if they're ganging up, etc. But you will be always going into a specific turn sequence in the room. But then you can rearrange in the next turn however you like. To see what happens when you fight, you must roll 2 dice. Another player should roll 2 dice for the monster. So let's say that the healer is fighting this enemy here. And let's say, for the sake of the example, that this enemy here is, let's say we have this scenario. And let's say that these heroes are not fighting. Or let's say that they are backing up, all of them, the healer. So the healer attacks first. And let's say this is the enemy that they're fighting, okay, the one that we revealed before. Placing it here so that it is easier to see. And let's focus now on the fight itself. You roll 2 dice and you add the number of the total of the dice that you rolled. Let's say I rolled the white dice. So the healer is fighting. So I'm rolling 5 plus 1 and I add to this value the skill value of my hero. So 7, the one in the shield and sword. 7 plus 6, 13. So this is the total number. In a similar way, another player handling the monster is rolling 2 dice for the monster. So this is 4 plus 2, 6. And they also add the skill number of the monster. So 6 plus 9, 15. The winner is the one who has the highest total, and the loser suffers damage equal to the difference between the 2 totals. Damage is recorded using stamina counters, and heroes and monsters have stamina levels. The number shown in the heart, and this amount is the damage that they take before they need to be defeated. Again, let's say that, for example, we have for 15 versus, what was it, 13? 6 plus 7, 13. Yeah, 15 minus 13, that means that the difference, which is 2, is suffered by the hero because they have less total. So they will need to take a total of 2 damage. Okay, and you can put them wherever you feel convenient. I would probably put them temporarily on the portrait of the hero, if this makes more sense, or above its portrait. If it was the other way around, then the healer would inflict the damage and they will place the tokens on top of the monster. Okay? Now, later, when the warrior attacks, they will gain a +1 to the total of the die roll because they are ganging up behind on this row. And then after that, when the scout is attacking, they will gain +2 on what they roll on the dice, and the mage will gain a +3. Okay, so you see, the more people heroes have ganging up against possibly more importantly and more strong and more difficult monster to defeat, then they will get modifiers respectively. And there are modifiers on the other side as well. Again, this is called ganging up. If there are 2 or more heroes attacking the same monster, then the order of which they attack is important. The second hero will gain +1 to their die roll, the third +2, and the fourth +3, as we have seen. And if you reduce a monster's stamina to 0, then you remove the counter from the tactical display because it's dead. Now, let's talk about luck. I remind you that one of the statistics on the heroes is the skill, one is the life points that they have, the damage they can take, and they also have the luck. Now, luck is something really important, so make sure you don't miss this rule because you will not survive the adventure. It's important. Each hero has a luck level and you can lose 1 luck, take a -1 luck counter, and reroll all of the dice just roll in combat, so for you and the monster. So you take 1, that means now you have 6 luck remaining, and you can reroll the dice. Of course, it could be situations, I'm guessing, that you can gain an artifact or gain something which provides you additional luck, but these are important rerolls that you can do when they really matter. You can do this as many times as you wish, as long as you have luck left, and you can also use luck to reroll the dice in other situations where you are asked to roll dice for a challenge or a check, let's say. Stamina. Stamina is both for the heroes in the heart, this is 7, or in the heart again of the monster, this is 3. Now, stamina is a measure of how much damage you can take before falling unconscious. Please note that you are not dead, you're just unconscious. If you're reduced to 0 stamina, then you cannot move nor can you walk. If at a later point in time another hero can use some form of healing potion or spell to increase your stamina, then you regain your sense and you will be able to continue with the adventure. You cannot move while at 0 stamina, so remain in the room while the rest of the party continues. You place your hero piece in the room to remind you of that fact, that you are left behind unconscious until something changes. Retreating. If you choose to retreat from a room, let's move here. So let's say we went in there, we had the fight, we had a lot of casualties, and then we decide to retreat. When retreating, you move back. If you choose to retreat from a room, then you must go back to a room that you entered from. Any damage inflicted on monsters in the room is removed, and any dead monsters will resurrect. You can still go back to this room and fight at a later point when you're more strong, or you found better weapons or better leveled up potentially. But you'll find that the creature has fully recovered with all of their stamina. You can drag any unconscious heroes out of the room and leave them in the room that you retreated to. Okay, so they don't have to stay if they have fallen in the room that the master was where you retreated from. So, moving around the dungeon. Moving from one place to the next around rooms, it's something really important and vital in this Choose Your Own Adventure game. You can easily backtrack your room and clear in areas that you cleared earlier, go back to retrieve something, play something, or activate something. However, you cannot move through rooms that still have monsters or a challenge that you haven't managed to bypass. You cannot move through, you have to stop. Remember that when you clear a room of monsters or solve any challenge, you flip the dungeon card to the this one should be also flipped to the gray side of the circle, which means that this is now cleared. Splitting up. You must stay as one group unless the adventure tells you otherwise, and you have of course a situation where if you have someone unconscious in the group, you will leave them behind, but that's fine. You will place their token in the room indicating that you left them there, or if you were defeated and you retreat, you will put them here. In this case, it would be retreating back because I didn't manage to defeat this monster. I will be retreating back and leaving my token there. And of course, using ability cards, which is really, really important in this game. Now, most of your ability cards will have some sort of form or use when fighting. You'll need to remember that you have this and you can use them when necessary. And when you use an ability, you flip it over. Each card can only be used once per game unless stated otherwise. So make it count, essentially. Last but not least, winning the game. You will know if you have won the game. Trust me, you will know if you have won the game. And if you are all reduced to 0 stamina, then you have failed and you need to restart the adventure if you wish. So there you have it. This is Fighting Fantasy Adventures Series 1. Again, this is a prototype, only with the introductory adventure, so that you can understand the game and find out about the details. I'm going to demonstrate in a separate video some playthrough, so stay tuned and make sure to check out the link in the description of the video, where you'll find a link to the crowdfunding campaign page. Many thanks for watching. Wow, fantastic experience. I'm really on my toes here because I just finished playing the introductory adventure and I had a blast with it. I really enjoyed it as a gaming experience because it really delivers. It's very thematic, it's very tense, there are decisions everywhere. This game manages to pack in a deck, a rich deck of cards with different type of cards, the ability cards, the hero cards, the encounter and the deck cards, with a very memorable experience. And I think it's a game that definitely worth your attention, and you definitely need to check it out, because I believe not only the game I played, which was exceptionally well done, but the story behind it, the decisions, and I would say the potential of the game, because every adventure will have a set of dungeon cards and a set of encounter cards, and you can do so many things with the system. Because it has simple rules. It's geared towards having fun, towards enjoying, towards making decisions, towards feeling that you're in the driving seat and you're making all the choices, and your fate has consequences if you decide to open this door or that door first, and if you put your warrior first, or your scout first, or your mage, or whatever, your healer, and then if you find a potion, do you drink it, do you not drink it, do you pick up the stone, is it a trap? Simple decisions that all add up together to make a highly memorable experience. Very, very fun, very enjoyable. I will definitely remember it for a long time, but most importantly, I will wait very impatiently to have the game delivered, because I want to explore and dive into the main adventures, because all this excitement that you see is just from the introductory adventure. So I cannot imagine what they would do with the main campaign and you know, the main game and the main adventures and what it's intended towards to. Tremendous amount of fun. Do not make the mistake to skip it, especially if you're fans of fantasy games, of solo games, of choose your own adventure games. But even if you haven't played many, I haven't played a lot myself, don't be afraid. This is a very accessible system, very easy to get behind, and really geared towards having fun and enjoying every single moment and every single of your decision. You own the decisions. It's your own fantasy, let's say, novel, your own fantasy series, your own fantasy movie. It's up to you how you write it and how you play it, but by the end of the day, in all of the decisions and in all of the things that you decide to do, and all the results of your combat, of your tests, of your skills, of your checks or whatever, it's going to be really something that you own. You own the adventure, and you feel like the author of a novel. You wrote it yourself, and it will play in your head for a long time, for sure, until you try the next one, and the next one, or try different party, you know, different players, different groups, different friends. Invite them to try this game. Wow, what a smash hit! Definitely check it out. This is one not to be missed from me. 2 thumbs up for sure.